In this video, I am going to talk about brakes, my own thoughts on brakes. I also had two different polls asking you guys a couple of questions related to brakes. I'm going to share with you the results of those polls and then share with you some of my thoughts about sports card braking. Let's get into this. So first, let me outline the two polls that I asked you guys, and I'll share the results. So the first one was, how often do you purchase spots in brakes? 109 people responded. 2% said frequently, 6% said occasionally, 24% said rarely, 64% said never, and 4% said, what's a brake? And then the other question was, what's your opinion about card brakes? 23% said it's a nice way to not have to buy a whole expensive box. 71% said it's a huge waste of money, and 7% said, what's a card brake? So my own thoughts on this, as far as how often I participate in brakes, it's very, very, very rarely. In fact, it's so rarely that I would almost put myself in that never category. And it's, again, I've talked in past videos because part of it is I'm not so into just opening random packs and seeing what I end up getting. I'd much rather just get a card that I want to get, whether it's for the PC or for arbitrage opportunities or money-making opportunities. I'd rather have aim, and I'm just not that into brakes. If I was to get some packs, I'd rather open them physically myself. That being said, that doesn't mean I have a negative feeling about brakes overall. I actually think they're an interesting space in a few different contexts. Like, for example, if you PC a specific team, whatever team, you have that team and you have the opportunity to buy into brakes for cards just for that team, I think that makes so much sense. I mean, if you just want to get Portland Trailblazer cards, you buy a brake for Portland Trailblazer cards, you get all the Portland Trailblazer cards. You don't have to spend so much money on that whole box. And with the cost of products nowadays being so much more than they were when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, if I went down to the local card shop with $2 in my pocket, I could still walk home with a pack of Stadium Club or something like that. Like, it was possible to engage in the hobby even with almost no money, with just whatever I could find in the couch cushions. I could engage in the hobby in some way. You can't do that anymore. I mean, people, when they post online and they say cheap stuff, they say a $20 pack is like a cheap pack. And that's not a cheap pack. I mean, when I was a kid, if there was a $20 pack, I would have never once bought it. That was too expensive. So, I feel like the hobby is very expensive. And having another avenue, another way to engage in the hobby to save a bit of money, is you can break and you can spend less than buying the whole box. And so I understand why it's not all negative. I feel like there's a cultural element that's happened within the breaking space that sometimes is not is very off-putting. I mean, you can see, a lot of the focus has become on the entertainment portion of it, which I don't like. I feel like if the cards themselves aren't enough of a draw, then why do the break? I mean, why would you buy into a break because of the entertainment value of the breakers themselves? I feel like that's a little bit strange. But as far as breaking, I can understand the draw to not having to buy the whole thing and still having a bit of money. But it also depends on the breaker. I feel like the breaker, the person doing the breaks, would be a very important part of the whole process for me. I wouldn't want to do a break with somebody who was, they were only out there for the highest profit margins for themselves in that break. They're going to have some profit margins. I have absolutely no problem with that. People have a business and they're trying to run a business. And if they're doing that respectfully, if they're doing that in a way that considers the profit they need to make to be sustainable and, providing a decent service for others and as low a cost as they can and still make it work, like I can respect that. I don't mind businesses in the hobby. It's perfectly okay. I don't mind businesses if people have entrepreneurial spirit. I think that's a good thing, so I have nothing against it. I do have against price gouging. I have against ideas of people really trying to take advantage of the situation. I've seen things, for example, where they'll be like, maybe like player breaks where they'll charge just 50 cents or something per person, but then have like however many players there are in the entire league, and each person gets like one person randomly, and things like that. I feel like that person ends up getting like a lot more money than they would be getting otherwise, and most of the people buying into that break are getting nothing. And I don't like that. I don't like breaks that are organized to really like like emphasize the gambler's aspect of breaking. I also don't like that, but I don't think every breaker has to do that. I think breakers can approach things in different ways that draw in people in different ways. And the type of breaker that would draw me in would be somebody who's I don't mean to say this egotistically, but like me, you know, like somebody who's just wanting to sit there and chat and hang out and open some packs and then have some kind of fair arrangement. So, you know, maybe it's a team break, or maybe it's a whatever it might be, you know. It's some kind of breaking where everybody is going to at least have a reasonable amount. I mean, you never know with what's in the product. You know, some people are going to get good stuff. Some people aren't. You can't change that. But at least if the breaker is being honest, is being authentic, and you know, and it's helping me to save some money by not purchasing the whole box for myself, then I'm okay with it. So I'm not opposed to breaking. I just don't do it because it's not so much my thing, but I'm not opposed to it. I could even see doing some breaks in the future. You know, I have some access to being able to get some products next year that I'll update you on some of that stuff. And I might end up doing some breaks here and there. I don't dislike the idea of doing some breaks because I also feel like I would be able to offer them in a way where I'm doing that balanced approach, where I'm, you know, thinking about how I can make a little bit of a profit margin in there, but without like taking advantage of anybody. And, you know, I feel like if a breaker is approaching it that way, where they're trying to offer a service, get a little bit of money from the service they're offering, but not price gouging and not ripping people off, it's a perfectly fine and perfectly okay thing. I have nothing against it. I like it more as an idea of just, you know, I oftentimes have said, like, if I was to, I don't put, if I'm thinking about like money-making opportunities in sports cards, you know, arbitrage or investing or whatever in one category, I don't put breaking in that same category. I put it in the category of like going out to a nice meal or going out for a Saturday night movie or something. I put it in the entertainment category, you know, that results in me having something tangible and some cards to add to my collection or to sell or whatever. But it's more in the entertainment category. I don't expect any ROI. I just expect to have fun for a specific period of time, and that's it. Whereas, you know, with investing, I don't do as much investing. Arbitrage more, I expect to make a little bit of money. I'm trying to make a little bit of money, or with business related things within the hobby. I'm trying to make some money in those spaces. So I guess if I summarize, I have nothing against breaks. I don't do them very, very rarely, and I probably never will do them very often. But I have nothing against them. I understand the concept. I think there's a space for them in the hobby. I think, you know, I think it's okay, and it can be a good opportunity for a lot of people depending on the way they engage in the hobby. But that's it for this video. I hope it was fun for you, fun for me. Peace out, yo.